Welcome to Open Your Reality. Many of you have been asking me to make a video about Mahavatar Babaji. So who is Mahavatar Babaji and why is he so important? First, he is one of the ascended masters and arguably the highest level spiritual figure that has ever graced the earth. He is the teacher of teachers. His most famous disciple was Jesus, and he constantly works to bring peace and love to the world. Babaji taught many spiritual adepts through the centuries, the most famous being Parahamansa Yogananda, who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, easily one of the greatest pieces of spiritual literature ever composed in my humble opinion. Few other spiritual figures compared to Babaji in terms of his power and his impact on the world from behind the scenes. The term Babaji is actually a broad Indian word which means revered father. For those interested in yogis and spirituality, you've probably come across the name Mahavatar Babaji at one time or another. Many who watch this video have not heard of the great sage or know little about him. Either way, I made this video to be the definitive short biography of the life and work of Mahavatar Babaji. Of all the spiritual figures that exist, I most strongly identify and resonate with Babaji. And in my heart, I believe he can hear me when I pray or speak to him. I first learned of the great master from reading Autobiography of a Yogi over 2 decades ago. The information in this video comes from that book and others written about Babaji. So let's begin. The legend of Mahavatar Babaji dates back to 203 BC. He was said to have been born on November 30th in a small eastern coastal village in the far south of India. His birth name was Nagarajan, which literally means king of serpents. His father was the priest of a village temple, and Nagarajan adored his mother, whose love for her was unconditional. These details of Babaji's early formative years were revealed to Marshal Govindan, who was initiated into Kriya Yoga in 1970 and dedicated his life to it, becoming president of Babaji's Kriya Yoga operations and initiating over 10,000 people in its teachings. If you didn't know, Kriya Yoga is a powerful branch of yoga that was passed down from Babaji to his disciples, forming a lineage that continues today. Govinda wrote a very informative book on Babaji in 1991, titled Babaji and the 18 Siddha Kriya Yoga Tradition. According to Govinda, Babaji personally told him of the details of his early life in India back in 203 BC. This includes Nagaraj being kidnapped and sold as a slave when he was just 5 years old. Fortunately, his new owner was a kind man and freed Nagaraj shortly after. Nagaraj then joined a small group of wandering ascetics who sought communion with God. During the next few years, Nagaraj wandered from place to place, all the while studying holy scriptures like the Vedas, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. This period in his life, still his formative years, became his quest for self-realization. I'm sure that he had probably lived many lifetimes before, all of which prepared him to arrive at this point in his level of spiritual achievement. Govindan claims that at age 11, Nagaraj made a difficult journey on foot and boat with a group of ascetics to Karagama, Sri Lanka. There, Nagaraj met 2 yogic masters and became their disciples. He did intensive yogic practices with them for a long time, becoming initiated into Kriya Kundalini Pranayam. Upon mastering the techniques of both teachers, Nagaraj made a long pilgrimage to Badrinath, a holy town located in the mountains of northern India. There, Nagaraj spent 18 months practicing the Kriya Yoga he learned in Sri Lanka. At the end of those 18 months, Nagaraj finally attained self-realization, or what some would refer to as enlightenment. As such, he could now transcend time and space, having become master of this physical realm. In subsequent years, he would come to be known as Mahavatar Babaji. Whether you believe these historical claims by Govinda or not, It seems plausible that Babaji had to walk the path of an ascetic, become initiated, and practice for long periods of time to reach self-realization. While nobody is certain what happened to him in the ensuing centuries, the next recorded evidence of Babaji's whereabouts came in 1861. The details were beautifully penned in Autobiography of a Yogi. In that year, Lahiri Mahasaya, working as an accountant for the British government, was walking in the hills of a desolate area when he heard a voice calling his name. Following the voice up the mountain, he met a tall and divinely radiant sadhu. Lahiri was amazed the sadhu knew his name. That sadhu was none other than Mahavatar Babaji. At this point, Babaji would have been over 2,000 years old, but looked a youth of no more than 25 years. How could that be? It's more than likely the spirit of Babaji took on this body, incarnating into the flesh to communicate with Lahiri. Perhaps Babaji felt the time was right to spread the message of Kriya Yoga to the world, and Lahiri would be the person to initiate it. In their short time together, Mahavatar Babaji revealed that he had been Lahiri's guru in a past lifetime. Lahiri didn't remember any of it, but with a tap on the forehead by Babaji, the memory of his past life came flooding back to him. Babaji then initiated Lahiri into Kriya Yoga and instructed him to initiate others. Lahiri's sole desire at that point was only to remain with Mahavatar Babaji. But Babaji told Lahiri he must return to the world and teach Kriya Yoga to others, whereby it would spread across the globe. Lahiri went on to have more meetings with Babaji, which were recounted in several books. The next appearance of Mahavatar Babaji came in 1894 at the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad. This time the sighting was by a disciple of Lahiri. His name was Sri Yukteswar, who eventually became the master of Yogananda. Others at the Kumbh Mela remarked on how similar the resemblance was between Lahiri's description of Babaji and this young sadhu. In one of their meetings, Mahavatar Babaji instructed Sri Yukteswar to write a book called The Holy Science. This book essentially discusses the one unified message in all religions. Sri Yukteswar went on to have 2 more meetings with Babaji, including one with Lahiri present. Another disciple of Lahiri, named Keshabananda, recounts a meeting with Mahavatar Babaji in the mountains near Badenrath around 1935. Keshabananda was not only a disciple of Kriya Yoga, but the Sanskrit tutor of Yogananda. Indeed, many great insights about Babaji's life and mission on earth can be learned in chapter 33 of Autobiography of a Yogi. Merely summarizing the information from that chapter does it a severe injustice. So I highly recommend you read the chapter in its entirety. You won't be disappointed, I promise you that. In this chapter, Yogananda says Babaji is an avatar, which means the descent of divinity into flesh. Yogananda describes Babaji's spiritual level as being so high that it is out of the realm of human comprehension. Babaji, having attained the highest spiritual state, is basically free from the cycle of death and rebirth we all face, also known as reincarnation. As I mentioned in my Ascended Masters video, which you can see here, Babaji only inhabits a physical body for the sake of helping humanity. Yogananda and the Upanishads refer to beings like Babaji as avatars. Some know them as Ascended Masters. According to Yogananda, Babaji's chief mission is to assist prophets in carrying out their special dispensations. For this reason, Babaji has been conferred with the title of Mahavatar, which means Great Avatar. Yogananda said that through the centuries, Babaji has preferred to work in humble obscurity, away from the glaring eye of the public. For this reason, no public appearances were made for centuries, and perhaps much longer than a millennia. But that does not mean Babaji has not been working behind the scenes. Yogananda said that he has partnered with Christ to try and save mankind from the evil that has befallen it. Babaji is well aware of worldly events, and the epidemic of materialism that has taken hold of the world in the last 100 years. While some avatars or ascended masters come to Earth to achieve a specific mission and then disappear as soon as it's completed, Babaji is more concerned with the slow evolutionary growth of the planet and has thus been a permanent fixture on Earth. It's true that Babaji could have departed the Earth plane long ago, but he stays for us. By mastering himself and the physical world through his deep spiritual practice, he is able to maintain a youthful body while doing the amazing, like becoming invisible, teleporting, manifesting anything he needs out of thin air, and speaking any language. Babaji's powers are vast, but they are never misappropriated and only used for good. Yogananda said that Mahavatar Babaji traveled in a small band that included 2 high-level American disciples. After being in one locale for a period of time, Babaji will decide it's time to move on. This is usually done by astral travel or teleportation, but not always. Sometimes the group goes on foot from mountain peak to mountain peak. Babaji does not require any food or drink to sustain his body. He only eats if someone brings him food as a gift. This is done as a social courtesy, and not because his body needs it. Another reason for Babaji's presence on Earth is to furnish humanity with a concrete example of its own possibilities. Indeed, he has been the source of spiritual inspiration for hundreds of thousands of people, especially since the world first learned of him in Autobiography of a Yogi. In that book, Yogananda says that Babaji interestingly had a sister who was also self-realized and enlightened. Her name was Mataji, and described as being a young majestic woman with a halo around her body. One day, while the two were together, Babaji told her that he was thinking of finally giving up his body. Mataji begged him not to, pleading, "Please do not ever relinquish your form." Babaji replied, "Be it so, I shall never leave my physical body. It will always remain visible to a small number of people on this earth." Ram Gopal, who had been present during the conversation between Babaji and Mataji, explained to Yogananda that there is a divine plan for the earth. Babaji had been chosen by God to remain on earth for the duration of this particular world cycle, which stretches on for thousands of years. For that reason, Babaji will always be around. He appeared to Sri Yukteswar a total of 3 times, and to Yogananda at least once as well. Yogananda said one day Babaji just showed up at his door and told him he was the great Mahavatar Babaji that his master Sri Yukteswar had told him about. Babaji instructed Yogananda to go to America, where he would preach the gospel of Kriya Yoga and spread the great yogic science to the West. Indeed, Yogananda did just that, traveling to America as an ambassador for Babaji's Kriya Yoga. As Babaji predicted, Yogananda's time in the West was a huge success, and he was able to influence hundreds of thousands of people in the 30-plus years he spent in America. Through Autobiography of a Yogi, many people learned of Babaji in the ensuing years, including the Beatles, Steve Jobs, and countless other famous figures. While sightings of the great avatar were claimed on multiple occasions after his meeting with Yogananda, none were as concrete as what happened in 1970. In that year, a powerful ascetic around the age of 20 materialized in a cave in Haidakhan, India. He became known as Haidakhan Babaji, but he's thought to be the actual Mahavatar Babaji, just in a different body. Haidakhan Babaji lived for 14 years, until the death of his physical body in 1984. Whether he was actually the immortal spirit of Mahavatar or not is a debate for another video. Let me know in the comments section if you want to see a video on Haidakhan Babaji. Well, this completes our story of one of the most exalted ascended masters who has ever graced the earth. He is still with us, presumably moving about in the Himalayan mountains, out of public spotlight. Perhaps he has a small band of disciples with him. I sometimes think if you speak his name and say a prayer, he will answer it. I know he has for me over the last 2 decades. As of today, at least 4 million copies of the book have been sold, and it has been translated into at least 50 languages and continuously published since it was first released in 1946. It was the only book Steve Jobs ever kept on his iPad. Even today, people continuously report seeing Babaji. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. I post videos several times per week on the subjects of spirituality, metaphysics, and science. Don't forget to check out my Ascended Masters videos. The playlist will be in the description. And if you would like to support the channel through my Patreon page, I would greatly appreciate your help. Thank you. The link is below as well. Alright, fellow adepts, may the light of love and wisdom always shine upon you. See you all in the next video.